What's up guys, Dan here. Hope you guys are all having amazing holidays, and I apologize for the little bit low production value of this video right here just because I've been traveling a lot. Christmas has been a little bit hectic, and I'm sure you guys probably feel the same way. Seeing family, seeing friends, traveling all over the world. That's what I've been doing for the past month, 2 months, but I still wanted to give you guys that value. I still wanted to get this video out for you guys here today. And in this video, I'm going to talk about a product that I took from 7K a month on Amazon FBA all the way up to 30K a month right here in Q4. And essentially what I did was product differentiation. Now, what I have noticed is that on YouTube, there aren't many videos talking about product differentiation, right? And that is the new weapon on Amazon FBA in 2019. That is what you need to do to be successful in 2019 on Amazon, right? And unfortunately, a lot of people, they just don't know how to differentiate their product correctly. And so that's why I'm gonna explain to you guys exactly what I did with my product to take it to 30K a month, right? I wasn't really expecting it to go to 30K a month. I actually thought that maybe it will double, triple, right? It was just one of the products that I launched for this Q4 because I knew that it would do extremely well. However, I launched it early and it was making only 7K a month. And so I'm gonna tell you guys in this video what I did to take it to 30K a month. Now, as I just said, product differentiation is the #1 weapon on Amazon FBA in 2019, right? And if you go into any industry, if you go into any kind of business, right, product differentiation is how businesses win, right? And so maybe in 2017, right, you were able to, and that was, by the way, when I started selling on Amazon in early 2017, early to mid 2017, you literally could just launch a product that you just copied from your competitor and still make a ton of money, right? And that's because right now, obviously it's the golden age of e-commerce. We all know that. Amazon is growing, year to year, that's like 20%, right? And so it's not stopping anytime soon. But as the years go by, right, pretty much what happens is that in any business, the entrepreneurs that aren't really trying, they just get filtered out, right? They just get kind of, filtered out, and then the successful entrepreneurs, the ones that are really putting an effort into their business, the ones that are really, improving the product and actually providing value to the target market through product differentiation, right? Those are the ones that win. And so this is gonna be kind of like a complete guide to product differentiation, and it will absolutely be the best product differentiation guide on YouTube because I just haven't seen anyone else do a guide like this. So basically the #1 goal for your Amazon FBA business, right? Whether you're building a brand on any kind of online platform, but specifically Amazon FBA, right, should be to build a six-figure, multiple six-figure, or $1 million online e-commerce brand through Amazon FBA. And the only way to do that in 2019 is to differentiate your product. Now, what do I mean by product differentiation? So let's say, for example, you are selling a barbecue glove, right? And let's say that there's 10 barbecue gloves on the market, right? There's probably way more than that, obviously, right? But just for the purpose of this video, let's just imagine there's 10 barbecue gloves on the market, right? So if you go out there and you go through all that trouble to source the product, right? And you're pretty much just copying your top selling competitor, right? You potentially can make money. But in 2019 and as the years go by, it will get harder and harder and harder. So let's say all of these barbecue gloves, right? Let's say that, they've all got, they're decent. They're not super amazing, right? There's probably one or two, right? 80-20 rule. There's probably one or two that are amazing, right? So usually in anything in life, it's called the Pareto Principle. 20% of anything is responsible for 80% of the results. So let's say that all of these gloves out there, they're okay. They're decent, right? So what you're gonna do is you are going to go and create such an insane improvement over all the other gloves, right? You are literally going to go in there as if you are Apple, right? Apple does not release mediocre products. When Apple creates a product, right, they make sure that it's so much better than everybody else, which allows them to warrant charging a higher price tag. It allows them to charge a higher price tag, right? And so that's the goal. You do not want to be competing with people on price. You want to be charging a much higher price than everybody else. And the only way you'll get people or consumers or customers to pay that price is if you differentiate your product properly, is if you actually make it so good that it will allow you to build a brand. It will allow you to actually make this a long-term business and not just like a 1 week, 1 month thing, right? That I see a lot of people, think about doing. They don't take it seriously, and that's what happens. And it will allow you to, most of all, have a stable source of passive income for the rest of your life if you actually build a brand and if you put a product out there that is so much better than everybody else. And it is much easier than you think. Here are a couple of rules that I recommend when thinking about product differentiation, all right? So the very first rule is the product has to be 80 to 90% better than the rest of your competition. If it's not 80 to 90% better, right? If it's like 40% better, 50% better, yes, you still can make money, of course. But the goal is to reach that 80 to 90% better, right? You don't want to aim for perfection because, it's just not necessary. You're always going to have someone that's as, that has the same willpower as you and wants to succeed the same way, right? So they're also going to differentiate the product. They're probably going to, do a similar differentiation, right? But don't worry about that because that's going to be like one seller, right? Like in my experience, most people, they just put a product up, they find what's already working, and they just literally copy it, right? And that can work, and that works in the beginning of an industry. But as Amazon FBA, has more and more sellers, right? In 2019, 2020, 2021, it makes it actually a better opportunity for everybody out there who actually is serious about the business, who is actually, wanting to go out there and put in the effort to differentiate the product. So your product has to be better than 80 to 90% of your competition, right? With that differentiation, with that change that you've made, right? And these changes can be made easily with your supplier. So rule number 2 is that the differentiation has to be possible to do with your supplier. So when you are contacting your supplier, right, you can always, I don't know if you guys are aware, right, but you can always talk to them and you can say, hey, can we improve the material of the product? Or hey, can we change the design of the product, right? Because, a lot of customers are complaining about this particular thing. Can we make this? Can we make this better, right? Chinese suppliers nowadays, they know that, if you want to win on Amazon, right, and they know that the people that they're supplying their products to, right, the real winners out there are the ones that are in it for the long term and the ones that are actually talking about improvements with suppliers. That's why they're more than willing to be able to improve the product for you. And so, that's done on their end. You just have to tell them exactly what you want. Sometimes they'll ask you for a picture, right, so you can just literally draw something on a piece of paper, right, kind of showing roughly what you want. Send it to them. That's literally what I've done so many times. And it works great, right? So you want to make sure that the rule number 1 is that the product is 80 to 90% better than your competition. Rule number 2 is that the differentiation is doable by your supplier, right? So don't do something that is so absolutely insane that your Chinese supplier, can't do it. And rule number 3 of product differentiation is that these first 2 things that you did, right, you want to be able to charge a higher price. So you want to be able to eventually, not when you're launching, but eventually, you want to be able to charge a higher price for your product, than the competition, because then when customers are looking for products, especially online, they are willing to pay a much higher price for a product that is so much better than everybody else, right? So Apple doesn't charge, cheap prices. Apple just goes out there and they charge $1,500 for an iPhone, right? Because they can, because there's value there, right? The consumer has and sees the perceived value. They're like, okay, $1,500, well, it must be good. They go into the features, okay, it is good, right? So that's what's going to happen. The same thing. It's just consumer psychology, guys. I always say, if there's one thing you need to learn if you want to be successful, that is psychology, specifically consumer psychology and online business. That's, you combine both of them, you become a superhuman. And so in my case, what I actually did was for my product, it was stuck at about $7K a month. And I was wondering, okay, well, I didn't really improve the product that much. I just kind of launched it for Q4, right? Just because, I just launch products on Amazon. For me, it's easy. And the thing is that I'm like, hey, well, let's think about it like Apple would think about their products, right? How would I improve it so much that it will just completely destroy the competition, especially coming here in Q4? So what I actually did is, and this is an amazing trick, by the way, I went into the negative reviews of my competition and I read that there was one specific design flaw that literally pissed everybody off, right? And so that was the reason for 95% of the negative reviews. And so what I did was I talked to my supplier and I'm like, hey, can we fix this and can we make it even better? And in reality, I started looking at the other competitors as well, and it was exactly the same thing. Everybody was complaining about this one design flaw for this product. And so I was like, well, if I just fix this, right, and if I make it even better, right, I can make $1 million brand out of this. And so that's exactly what I'm doing right now. And so that brought it up to $30K a month as soon as I got the new units in. And it's funny because in reality, this design flaw, it was a no-brainer. You want to make sure that the differentiation is a no-brainer. You don't want to, kind of just think of something and change the color for no reason, for example, right? That's not a good differentiation, right? So, for example, on a cell phone, right? And I'm not saying, we're selling cell phones. For example, on a barbecue glove, a no-brainer differentiation would be to improve, the product quality, right? So the material, improve it, right? Make sure that it's heat resistant, if it's not already heat resistant, right? Or increase the resistance to heat, right? That's a no-brainer, right? Don't just change the color of the glove. That's not a good differentiation, right? It might sell a little bit more just because it's a new product and there's a little bit of hype, but that's not a no-brainer differentiation. So product material quality, right? That's an obvious improvement. Design flaws, right? Anything like design design, and make sure that it's a no-brainer, right? Make sure that you're not just, making something up, right? Number 3 would be colors, right? So, if everybody's selling one color, then sell a different color, right? Just make sure that the color is actually going to sell. Make sure it's not some like wacky color, right? Maybe find another website that is selling these products or like there are sellers selling these products, and find an example of someone that is successful with a particular color, right? And then that brings us into the aesthetics, so the look of the product, right? Make sure that the product actually looks premium. Make sure that the product looks a lot better than 80 to 90% of the competitors, right? That's the golden number right there. Now, number 4 is make sure you have amazing packaging, guys. It is so important to have an amazing, beautiful box, or if there's no box in your product, make sure that you've got product inserts. Make sure that, by the way, those are like the cards that go in your product, right? And then you can go ahead and ask people for reviews there. You can go ahead and link to your social media, right? And that brings us to number 5, which is social media, right? Any $1 million brand out there, Movement Watches, Gymshark, right? All these brands online, right? They have an amazing social media presence. Which after that, you can then, once you have your social media presence built up, you can then go into, creating your own Shopify store with your brand after you brought your Amazon FBA business to multiple 6 figures, 7 figures a year. And then you can also actually build an email list, which is huge, right? Once you have 10,000 people, 20,000 people on your email list, which is not that difficult to get if you are like actively posting content on your social media, right? You will literally be able to print money with promotions, product promotions, giveaways, things like that. You'll be able to launch any product you want on Amazon. That's literally like the superpower of, really going out there and putting in effort and differentiating your product. So those are my best suggestions to differentiating your product properly. Like I said, make sure that your product is 80 to 90% better than the rest of the competition, right? If it's like, 50% better, that's fine, right? You can still, it's not going to stop you from making money, but just make sure that you use the 80 to 90% as a benchmark, all right? So that is what I have to tell you today, and that's just something that worked for me to bring one of my products from 7K to 30K a month this Q4. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. Subscribe to the channel here, and follow me on social media, Instagram and Snapchat. I'm traveling a lot right now, and I always post the absolute best content on Amazon FBA, e-commerce, making money online, how to become an amazing entrepreneur, how to live an epic life. So hope you guys enjoyed. Once again, peace out. I have a flight to catch right now, but I'll see you guys soon.